Christina from Our Wood Home. Today I'm doing a video talking about head covering, why I choose to wear a head covering, and kind of just giving an updated post, I guess, on how I feel about head covering after practicing this for about 2 years now. So if you read my blog, you may remember my first post on head covering when I first began this journey. I started wearing a head covering in April 2017. We're now in February 2019. I'm just referencing my phone that has my original blog post so that I can keep all my dates straight and so that I don't restate something that I've already said. So the reason for doing this video is because when I first started head covering, it was for very different reasons than now. Some of the reasons are the same, but I think that I've grown a lot since then, and I've had a deeper understanding of what it means to wear a head covering, and I've done a lot of my own research on it, a lot more research on it. So I had planned to do another blog post just giving you an update, but I thought a video might be a little bit better because then it kind of feels like we're just having a conversation with a friend instead of reading text on a screen, which can sometimes be misinterpreted depending on the way it's read, I guess. So yeah, let's get going. I'm still weirded out by seeing myself on camera, and I keep looking over here to the screen instead of over here to the camera. So bear with me because this is still awkward and weird. So let me tell you a little bit about why I started being interested in head covering. So when I was first looking into head covering, I think it was about 2014 or 2015, I had very short hair, like a pixie cut, and I was fine with it. I liked my hair that way. I've had short hair before. It was something I enjoyed. I just liked having short hair. I didn't think it made me any less feminine or anything like that. But other people seem to think so. That's a conversation later. But I'd been interested in head covering after seeing it mentioned in some Facebook groups I was part of, and I liked what it stood for, and I liked the way head coverings looked, and I just thought that's something that I'd be willing to try out. So I had looked around online for some stores to buy head coverings, and I had asked in some groups on Facebook and that sort of thing, and I was met with a lot of resistance and hurtful comments because of my hair. And I have a lot of feelings about that even all these years later, because I was genuinely interested in wearing head coverings. And if you are familiar with this whole movement within Christianity, you probably know that typically head coverings are associated with long hair. And in some groups, if you don't have long hair and you are a woman, it's sinful or shameful, or you're just looked down on. And that's not to say that every Facebook group or social group or church or anything like that that practices head covering views women's hair in that way. But the groups that I had encountered did. So they told me that I should not have short hair, that it was a sin to have short hair, and that I need to have long hair. Nobody was offering any help about where to get coverings or, giving me support in any way. So I was very turned off head covering, and I didn't consider it after that at all, because I was offended and hurt by what was being said to me regarding my short hair. And I should add that I didn't feel like my hair was an issue. I know that that might seem untrue now, considering how my hair is long, but I decided to grow my hair because I wanted to. I was tired of having short hair. I'd had it for a few years, and I was ready for a change. It had nothing to do with people telling me that it was a sin for women to have short hair. So, fast forward a few years, I began growing my hair intentionally in 2015, and when it was about shoulder length, I started getting very vain about it because people were complimenting me on social media, telling me that my hair was so nice, it was so long, it was growing so fast, and all this stuff. And I began to spend a lot of time working on my hair, like putting it in nice styles, making it look the best that it can, because I wanted more attention and more people to tell me that it looked nice. And even just saying that now is embarrassing, but it's true. So I recognized that this was a problem and that I was being vain. So I posted in a Facebook group of mine, Modest Young Women, just asking if anybody else had had any similar vanity issues and how they dealt with it. And one of my friends told me that when she struggles with vanity, her solution is to put her hair up in a simple bun or a braid and then wear a head covering. And that kind of brings her back down and humbles her a bit. And I thought, okay, I can do that. I like that idea. So I sewed myself a simple headband style covering, and on days that I was feeling vain about my hair, I would just put it in a French braid and put my head covering on, and away I go. And surprisingly, this worked pretty well. I went into more detail in my blog post, which I will link, but I was wearing a head covering more often than not, partly because I was still struggling with vanity, but also because I realized how comfortable it was, and it was allowing me to keep my hair off my face, which is something that I've struggled with for a number of years. I hate hair hanging down in my way, so this was a great solution. And I began wearing a head covering to church on Sundays because I felt like it was respectful and it was something that I wanted to do. So while my head covering journey began as a way to kind of humble myself, it has certainly evolved or changed from there. So right now I still wear head coverings, as you can tell. I prefer more simple styles that don't really call a lot of attention to myself because where I live, head covering is not practiced. So I try to not draw attention to myself with my head coverings because that kind of goes against being modest in lifestyle and in appearance and attitude if I'm seeking attention for something that I'm doing or wearing. I know that posting a video on YouTube might seem like I'm not being modest in lifestyle because I'm putting myself out there on the internet and I'm active on social medias and that sort of thing, but I believe there is a fine line between using social medias and the internet to communicate with people and to share a message versus using them just to bring attention to oneself. And I feel like I'm doing all right with that balance. So what I wanted to share today, I guess, is what changes I've made with head covering since I started almost 2 years ago. So I still believe head covering is a way for me personally to keep myself humble and in check. I still struggle with vanity from time to time, as I feel like many of us probably do, but wearing a head covering kind of forces me to remember I've got a physical thing on my head that's serving as a reminder for what I believe. Does that make sense? I believe that Scripture tells women that we're to be humble and modest and that sort of thing, so wearing a covering just is a constant reminder that that's the way I should be living. Further, I believe that head covering symbolizes, once again, for me, it symbolizes that I respect the authority that God has over my life as the ultimate authority. And then one step lower, he's given authority to my husband to have over me. And I know that's something that a lot of women struggle with, thinking that anybody has authority over them. But after a lot of scripture research and study, I can say that I truly do believe that within Christian marriages, God has given husbands authority and protection for their wives. And wearing a covering kind of forces me to remember that, yes, God has given my husband a higher authority over me. I've done a whole blog post series on marital submission, so if you're interested in that, I will link it below and you can read some more about what I've learned in my personal study. But I think that's all I want to say today about head covering. I hope that this clears up any questions you may have had if you've been following my head covering journey. And if you have watched this video and find that I don't know what I'm talking about, or I'm crazy, or something like that, that's fine. I don't feel like I need to force my beliefs onto anybody, even though I'm making a YouTube video. If you don't agree with what I'm saying, that's okay. You can tell me that you don't agree with me. It's fine. I just ask that you be civil in the comments or in any correspondence you send me. But on the other hand, if you have been encouraged by what I've said and shared with you today, I hope that you let me know. And I hope that if you are kind of in the questioning phase of head covering, I hope that you're encouraged to do some more scripture study and some research. I'd be happy to answer any questions about what I've learned through my own study. I guess the point of this video is just to be open and honest with people that have been expressing an interest in hearing more about my head covering journey and my thoughts on it. So I hope that this has answered any questions you may have had. And if you'd like to see more videos where I talk about head covering and my thoughts on it, I'd be happy to make some more of those, but just let me know if that's something you'd like to see down in the comment section. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video and that you will consider subscribing to my channel here on YouTube. Bye.